Welcome to the Hidden Palace with Skyblaze.
Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, wherever you are in the world. I am Skyblaze and this is the Hidden Palace here on Radio SEGA. So here's where I hope that my scotch tape and baling wire PC setup is working this week. Because I might have accidentally breathed on it and broke something, because Windows. So let me know in Discord if you can actually hear me. Please. That would be great. So this week I am going to be talking about the SEGA Technical Institute, which was a group formed in 1991. It was based out of Palo Alto in California, and it had some hand in the development of some of SEGA's most popular games, including Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. Sadly, this group then became defunct in 1996, so it wasn't around all that long. It was shut down mostly due to the success of the PlayStation and the change in the management and its priorities at SEGA of America. I think that's kind of sad that it didn't last that long, because they did produce some great stuff while they existed, not least being involved in the mainline Sonic games. So I think that's kind of a big deal. Discord chat is absolutely silent, so I have no idea if people can hear me or not. That's cool. So I hope they can, because otherwise I've been talking to myself and that would be annoying. I'm just going to babble until I get confirmation, because there's no point in actually going into the main part of the show until I know that people can actually hear me. So it's been an interesting week because I've been followed by the Dreamcast Junkyard on Twitter, and the OC Remix Twitter account has followed me on Twitter as well, which is really nice. So hello to you guys if you'll happen to be listening. I had a fun conversation with the Dreamcast Junkyard guys actually, because they were saying, so if the Saturn is the father of the Dreamcast and the Mega Drive is the grandfather, then what does that make the Mega CD and the 32X? And I said the Mega CD was grandfather's second wife and the 32X was his bit on the side. At which point they asked me about the laser active, which I covered in a previous episode, and I said the laser active is clearly grandpa's creepy stalker. Of course, that's how my brain works. And I still don't know if anybody can hear me. And I don't know if anybody's actually listening to me at all. It's going to be one of those days, I guess. Twinny's typing, so... Oh, he's not again. Hello? Is there anybody in there? Because I don't know if this is working. And that worries me quite a bit. Should I continue with this at this point? Because I don't know. Because I don't know if anyone can hear me. Maybe you can just hear the music. Maybe you can just hear me. Cry. I'm gonna loop the background music because I don't know if this is working and nobody's answering me. Hello? I don't know what to do. I'm just going to carry on, because if somebody tells me that it's broken, then that's fine. I guess. So, yeah. So I'm going to go over a list of games that the Sega Technical Institute worked on. Not all of them are completely obviously developed by them, but the research I've done suggests that they were involved with the development or were the main development team. So starting with Dick Tracy, which was the first project from the Institute, their first solo project. It starred the titular character, Dick Tracy, who was a character taken from newspaper comics originally, I believe, which started, gosh, a really long time ago. They were very, very old, even by the dawn of video games. Okay, well, Twinny's just confirmed that I am actually being heard, so that's good. So let's carry on. So you're playing as the title character, Dick Tracy, and you're fighting against gang members of the mob boss Big Boy. Well, that was one hell of a name. In a side-scrolling environment. You also have to make your way to the levels by driving through traffic and either pulling your foe over or running him off the road. That's great police work there. I guess. Or if you've taken your time and they make it to their hideout, you'll take part in a shootout. Once you've got their health down enough, they'll surrender to you for you to arrest or interrogate them. By interrogating the villains, you'll gain info as to which allows you to solve crimes. You'll also find clues at crime scenes which need to be processed by the crime lab. For those who want a little bit of help with this game, go to the options screen and press up, down, A, B, C, and start to get access to the level select. Now this game always struck me as being like a prototype version of something like LA Noire, like very, very early prototype, because there's so many different aspects to it, which is not something you found on games in the early 90s. So that's kind of cool. So let's have some music. Requested by Electric Boogaloo, we've got, from Dick Tracy, Warehouse Stages 2A and 5A. And requested by Green Viper, we have Sonic 2 Hilltop Zone. So I hope you enjoy those, and I'll speak to you guys again after the musical break.
You're listening to Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.
And we are back. And that was Dick Tracy, Warehouse Stages 2A and 5A, which was requested by Electric Boogaloo. And then we had Sonic 2 Hilltop Zone, which was requested by Green Viper. So here's a game that you might have seen my esteemed husband playing. I think, was that this week or last week? One of those. He was doing a stream of The Ooze, which is kind of a unique game purely because of the way that the player character operates. You're a puddle of ooze, and you play the role of Dr. D. Kane, who is an employee of a company called LHCC, who appears to have uncovered something he shouldn't have with something called Operation Omega. After getting caught looking into this, he's injected with something, and his mutating body is flushed into the sewers. But Dr. Kane survives as a sentient body of ooze, with a goo-covered skull at its centre, like a weird toxic fried egg. Or like some of the slime monsters that you see in World of Warcraft, actually. You can attack either by spitting ooze at your opponents, or by extending your body and attacking that way. The major limitation of your attacks comes from the size of your body, and by spitting at your foe, you use up part of your body. And the length of your other attack is limited by how big of a puddle you are. So it's a bit of a kind of balancing act. Your foes can really cut you down to size, as their attacks will cut through your body and reduce your size. And if you're very unlucky and get hit in the skull at the centre of your body, that's a one-hit kill. Ow. So, if you're having some problems with this game, however, there is a bit of a sneaky way around that. There is a level select cheat. In order to enter it, you need to go to the options and slide your way into the sound test. See what I did there? Ha ha ha. After entering a sequence of numbers from the sound test, pressing C each time, and if you entered it correctly, you'll hear a yes sound, and then bingo, you're able to access the level select screen. You can even access this menu in the game, so if you're stuck, you can just skip forward a level. Oh, hello Eclipse. Well, thank you. I'm glad so many people can actually hear me. I was very worried about whether or not my sound setup was working today. Hello, and well, glad that you're tuning in. Okay. So then, time for some music. So, I did find the soundtrack for The Ooze, but I also found that Alien Renegade did a remix of one of the tracks from The Ooze, which I wasn't expecting. It just turned up in my playlist. I'm searching for The Ooze, and there it was. So, okay. I think that was from one of the Sonic Stadium remix albums. I'm not sure which one. So, what we'll have is The Ooze Power Core, Parts 1 and 2, and from Alien Renegade, Grime and Vengeance, see what you did there, for The Ooze. So I hope you enjoy those, and I'll speak to you again after the break. And welcome, Eclipse, I'm glad that you've tuned in. Anybody else who wants to shout up on the Discord, feel free, or you can poke me on Twitter as well, that's fine. So, here's some music, and I'll speak to you guys again after the musical break. sudden transition is sudden. Yeah, that didn't mix all that well. But then that track does end pretty suddenly. It's actually not bad. It's from one of the Sonic Stadium remix albums. I cannot remember which one. I could probably look it up, but I'm a bit busy. So welcome to Eclipse and Electric Boogaloo, who have joined us on the Discord chat. Electric Boogaloo was being particularly nice and was listening to my show while out having dinner, which is dedication. Thank you very much for your loyalty there. I really do appreciate that. That's great. So yeah, that was Ooze Power Core Parts 1 and 2, and Alien Renegade Grime and Vengeance for the Ooze. I really should look up which album it's from. I'll do so later. Now then, onto a slightly less obscure game. So, one that most of you will probably have heard of, and that is Comix Zone. Playing as a cartoonist called Sketch Turner. I wonder if Sketch is actually his real name, or if he changed it, because, you know, nominative determinism, anyone? Anyway, Sketch Turner finds himself dragged into a comic that he was busy drawing, thank you to a magical thunderstorm. Okay. While you were drawn into the comic, the villain Mortus was pulled out and is drawing new villains to fight against you. It's actually a pretty cool concept. One of the unique features of Play of the game is it's actually set within a comic, so you'll find yourself moving between comic panels, and you can even punch your way from one panel to another to progress in some areas. The game has appeared on many Sega game collections for quite a lot of consoles. I do have a copy of it myself on the Sega Mega Drive collection. On Steam, and I think I've got a PS3 version, or is it a PS2? PS2. It had also had ports onto the PC as well as Game Boy Advance, but the GBA version was only released in Europe. Good grief, we got something that the rest of the world didn't? What madness is this? One of the really interesting things about Comix Zone that I didn't know until I was researching this episode is that the concept for Comix Zone was originally part of a demo which was created for the Commodore Amiga. Holy crap! Not only that, but Sketch Turner was originally known as Joe Pencil. I'll put the video for the demo in the chat, so people who are interested can have a pokey nosy. And I will also loop my talkpad, because I'm an idiot and I forget to do these things. There it is. Yeah, the music on this is not from that demo, because as far as I know the demo is silent, but for those who are interested, there you go. If you look on the Discord chat, you will find a link to that video. Electric Boogaloo is saying, one of the more interesting things about STI was who was running it and their philosophy. Is it me, or is STI one hell of an unfortunate acronym? Oh well. Initially, STI was formed as a think tank, a way to meld Japanese talent with American designers. Originally, STI was run by Marble Madness co-designer and current PlayStation hardware architect Mike Cerny. Cool. Electric Boogaloo knowing all the things. Eclipse is saying, I love Comix Zone's concept, music and art style. It's a fun game, but it's very hard. Yeah, it really, really is. I've tried to play it a couple of times and I can never get very far. I end up rage quitting. Eclipse didn't know that it had a GBA version. Electric Boogaloo is saying that he continued to run STI through 1992 to 93 when it was taken over by another Atari alumnus, Roger Hector. Yeah, I knew Roger Hector had been involved in it. Electric Boogaloo is also posted from a Sega 16 interview with Hector. The Sega Technical Institute was regarded as a special group where the top Japanese game talent in the company could come to the USA, and now it's gone, and work with top American game talent to produce special original games. It was kind of an elite group overall and was given a lot of autonomy. We did the major Sonic games, but we also took in special coin-op projects like Die Hard Arcade, which I'll talk about later. We were the only group within Sega allowed to do crossover things like this. We tried to keep a low profile, but we got a lot of attention because of the success of Sonic. It was a special place and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it was a real shame that it didn't last beyond 1996. I know a lot of that was due to the collapse of Sonic X-treme and the fact that it nearly killed most of the development team. But it is still a shame. And yeah, it is pretty interesting that it was kind of a unique entity within Sega. I wonder if it's worth trying to kind of replicate that success, because it clearly worked. Anyway, I have talked a lot. So let's have some more music. So from Comic Zone, we've got Night of the Mutants. And I also found that there is a OC remix by Maze Dude called Comic Zone Comics Bubbles, which I thought was quite good. Hello Green Viper, who has just joined us in the chat. Yeah, so let's have some more music and I'll speak to you guys again after the break.
The best Sega music, live shows, and the chance to request your favorites. This is RadioSega.net.
mouse pointer is being weird because it just decided to dash off to the far side of the screen. Thanks, mouse. That's really helpful. Anyway, now that was Maze Dude Comic Zone Comics Bubbles. That was from our friends over at OC Remix. And before that, it was Comic Zone Night of the Mutants. We're talking about how Sega Technical Institute ended up shutting down, and Electric Boogaloo's saying that mostly it was due to a restructuring which is going on within Sega of America, with the Technical Institute becoming Sega America's new product development department, since their old product development department was spun up into a new division called SegaSoft. There was also, if I remember correctly, at the time, kind of mid to late 90s, kind of Saturn era, there was a big rift between Sega of Japan and Sega of America, and the restructuring was part of an effort to kind of fix that, because it had caused huge problems. I mean, a lot of the issues with the launch of the Saturn and the 32X prior to that were due to this kind of division between America and Japan. So it was causing big problems, that there was kind of this infighting across the company. But then you tend to get restructuring quite a lot with big organisations. I mean, I worked at a university for 5 years or 4 years? 4.5 years, I think. And it was restructured twice while I was working there. So, there you go. Eclipse is saying that it really sucks that there was this rift going on between Sega of America and Sega of Japan. Yeah, it does. But when you're kind of competing over resources and money and talent, then this sort of tends to happen. It is a shame. Unfortunately, I am not clever enough to come up with a solution, if there is one. Anyway, moving on from the Mega Drive to the Saturn, we've got Die Hard Arcade. I told you I was mentioning it later. Now, this two-player game was one of the last that the Sega Technical Institute helped develop before the studio was subsequently dissolved. It was a Die Hard game, though not a great deal connected it to the Die Hard franchise. And since the version of the soundtrack that I've managed to acquire has a subtitle calling it by a different name entirely, where it's called Dynamite Decker or Dynamite Decker, I don't know, one of those. I suspect that it was an entirely unrelated game that had the Die Hard franchise name slapped on it. Anyway, you play as John McClane, with the second player taking the role of a woman called Chris Thompson, although they are known as Bruno Dellinger and Cindy Holiday in the Japanese version. Thus kind of proving my point about unrelated game having the name slapped on it. Together they'll kick, punch and use various items and weapons, fighting through waves of enemy in a beat-up style similar to Streets of Rage, only in 3D. Well, sort of 3D. Electric Boogaloo is saying Dynamite Decker, Dynamite Detective. Yes. Correct. So your mission is to save the president's daughter, called Caroline Powell, from terrorists who are holding her hostage in a skyscraper. Now we know why it's called Die Hard, because skyscraper. You come across a variety of bosses who are getting in your way, including a biker named Hog, a Mexican wrestler called Jocko, a sumo wrestler and an army general tag team, and the leader of this very motley crew is a guy called Wolf Hongo. That is one hell of a name. Now, in a slightly bizarre homage/rip-off of Double Dragon, once you've saved Caroline, if both McClane and Thompson make it to the end, they have to fight each other at the top of the skyscraper to determine who gets the sole appreciation of the president's daughter. Appreciate. Good! If you find yourself having trouble getting through Die Hard Arcade, the Saturn version has you covered. Since before you start playing, give the extra game called Deep Scan a go. Every 200 points you get nets you an additional credit to use in the main game, which could be useful if you need to try and finish it in one playthrough. Sorry. My work thing is pestering me for something. Nope, okay. Green Viper's saying that the rift between Sega of America and Sega of Japan from 2014 says that it's quite common for Japanese staff to be hugely racist to the US staff. Yikes. That's not good. Why can't we all just get along, eh? Anyway. So, we're going to have some music now. From Die Hard Arcade, we've got a track called Steeplechase. And after that, I tried to resist this, I really did. But then I posted on the Radio Sega staff chat saying, I'm having trouble resisting this, and Viper was like a tiny devil on my shoulder going, do it. So, from one of the... I found this on one of the Die Hard box set DVDs, and it's a track that's actually called Die Hard by a band called Guys Night. And it's brilliant and insane. And I can't believe I've got an excuse to use this. I probably won't get away with it, but never mind! What can possibly go wrong? Right, so let's have some music, and I'll speak to you guys again after the break with Chip-Chin Corner.
Picked him up from the plane and took him down to Nakatomi Tower to meet with Holly. He came to get her back and to be her man, but Hans and his buddies fucked up the plan, and that's about when everything went sour at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass. We're gonna die. As hard as we can. distraction. And there was no way McLean could know that Hans Gruber was Simon's bro. And that's what made it Die Hard with a vengeance, with Samuel Jackson. And the good cop wouldn't miss this, even though it wasn't Christmas. He didn't get any help from Alan, but only in part 3. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. Finally we're back with John McClane. Now we got a choice and the choice is plain. We can live free or we can die hard as we can. From taking on a terrorist he's never met, to taking on an F-35 jet, with the greatest car explosions by far. They sure look sweet, man, and we know what the basic gist is. There ain't no Alan and it's not Christmas. We don't know, but we're pretty sure that John McClane kicks ass. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Down to the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
I would like to remind everyone that that was Viper's fault. I was going to resist putting that in, but was it not glorious? And yeah, bonkers, but brilliant. So, yeah, I enjoyed that bit of madness. Oh dear, right. Chiptune Corner then. I still need a proper intro for this segment. Anyway, last month, Retro Gamer magazine included in one of its issues a CD of music which was remixed from the work of noticed British video game music composer Rob Hubbard. Rob worked on quite a lot of video game soundtracks throughout the 80s microcomputer era, and is often credited with showing just how good the output of the Commodore 64 sound chip, the venerable SID chip, could be. Jamie was nice enough to provide a copy of the CD for me, so here for Chiptune Corner, sorry, my mouth's really dry, we have Rob Hubbard and Jason Page with the Casio 12-inch mix. I'm not sure what this is remixed from, but it sounds really cool, so I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you also enjoyed the completely bonkers Die Hard song. Yeah, I really should have put an explicit lyrics warning on that. Oh well, too late now. Have to do that on the podcast, I guess. Right, so here's some Rob Hubbard, and I'll speak to you guys again after the break. And we are back. And that was Rob Hubbard and Jason Page with Casio 12-inch mix. Electric Boogaloo is saying that it might be the same Jason Page who worked on some of the music from Gran Turismo and from the some of the demo discs, PlayStation demo discs. It's entirely possible. But Electric Boogaloo is also now giving me the horrifying news that all of the music in the Western releases of Gran Turismo was changed. So did America not get the really good Manic Street Preachers remix from the intro? Because that's horrifying. Because that intro was amazing. I'm slightly biased because I'm a massive Manic Street Preachers fan, so... Eclipse was saying like how much they enjoy the 8-bit chiptune music that I play for Chiptune Corner, and I was saying one of the reasons I started doing Chiptune Corner was so I could play the really good 8-bit music that I think often gets overlooked, to prove that you can get amazing sounds out of these quite old sound chips. Electric Boogaloo is saying, oh, we got the Manic Street Preachers, oh thank God. Because I would be the saddest person ever, otherwise. Anyway, starting to run out of time. So, thank you everybody who's tuned in today. Thanks to Green Viper, Eclipse, Electric Boogaloo, anybody else who's been listening, anybody who lurks on the Discord or doesn't have access to Discord, who just listens in via TuneIn or the Radio Sega site or whatever your preference. Remember to stay tuned for Saturday Night Sega, which should be hitting the airwaves very soon after I finish up here. Sadly, there's unlikely to be a Sega Mixer Drive tomorrow, as Rexy has a stomach bug, so be sure to send her all your good wishes and tell her to get well soon. She has been given firm instructions to rest and drink fluids and take care of herself. I'm not sure what I'm going to cover next week. I do have some notes about the Sega System 1 arcade board, but if anybody does have any suggestions for other topics that they want me to cover here on Hidden Palace, be sure to let me know. You can reach me on the Discord chat, where I am Skyblaze42. You can reach me on Twitter, where I'm at Blazing Skies, or you can contact me through the Radio Sega Twitter or Facebook. So I've been Skyblaze, this has been the Hidden Palace, here on Radio Sega. One last track for tonight is, again from OC Remix, we've got Analog's version of Mystic Cave Zone called Sonic Caves. So thank you again for listening, everyone. Take care, and good night.
Enjoyed the show? Check out the full Radio Sega live schedule at radiose.ga/shows. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.